What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today when I talk to you about NIO, I want to go over some of the data points, break it down on what's really moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So NIO's down 1.42%, 341 the low, 347 the high. So it is starting to recover. First 30 minutes of the trading day, it's been relatively quiet. You didn't really have that much institutional transactions, but it does look like big money is kind of buying the dip essentially, but you are seeing 7.7 million shares being traded. So again, big money is starting to really wake up. So I'll go over some of the transactions on the dark pool and secondary market later in the video. Associated to NIO though, there is one thing that did come out over this past weekend that a lot of articles are kind of bringing it up. And in my opinion, that's what's really pushing NIO higher. And that is this. So comments from William about the Envo L90 price wise. So it is estimated to be just under 42,000 USD. So Chinese EV landscape is absolutely cutthroat. So many different price cuts coming from different entities. You have smear campaigns being mentioned by William. So it is a crazy market. And I do understand why a lot of American companies just do not want anything to do with China whatsoever, because this is crazy. But nonetheless though, also their third factory is going to be starting production in September. So kind of in line with what they've mentioned for the Q4 numbers. So let me know your thoughts on this. I've seen like 3 or 4 different variations of this and of what William stated over the weekend. So I think algorithmic trading is finally starting to pick up on that and really push higher. Aside from that, you did have NIO initially suppressed, and that's just because of, again, similarly, algorithmic trading reacting to Trump's big beautiful bill, even though technically has absolutely nothing to do with NIO whatsoever. On a macro standpoint, no data points coming out from China, no specifics from NIO, so no fireside chats, no SEC filings or anything like that has really come out. Aside from all that fun stuff though, you are seeing shorts currently return 283,000 shares, so they're not doing all that much. 13.41% of the free float's being shorted, works out to be 206 million shares overall are being shorted. So shorts are kind of breaking the trend as what they have done, because they've been really doubling down ever since June the 23rd. So they've been really kind of increasing. So they are breaking the trend today, which is a good thing. Hopefully the broader market's momentum and does continue, market continues to recover, then you'll have shorts return a little bit more. But aside from that, looking at the options, you are seeing 388,000 in calls, 66,000 in puts. 50% of all the options being done are still bearish in nature, which kind of does match with the broader market. But then again, the market is recovering. Most of those bearish options were done in the first 30 minutes. So most likely you're going to see this kind of change in the later part of the day to be relatively bullish. But popping over here from the bulls, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around that 350 for this week, and then $4 going into next week. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 350. So based on all this, there is definitely a little bit more upside than down, but these are all the transactions occurring on the dark pool. As I've mentioned, they were relatively quiet in the first half of the trading day and then just woke up in the last 20 minutes for the most part. So institutions are starting to recover and buy the NIO dip. So let me know your viewpoint on that. With it right now at 347, trading between this pivot and this S1. So 343 is a strong support, kind of bounce off of that general area. And then 349 is going to be that key point that you really want to watch for NIO to get above today if you are going to see that continued recovery into the next couple trading days. Surprisingly enough, because of NIO's monthly numbers, there hasn't been any new analyst ratings, most likely because of the kind of long weekend and the market being closed. That's maybe why analysts haven't really done any ratings with NIO, but I do anticipate that to still come over the next couple trading days. Most likely, it will be posted after hours today, so that should really influence tomorrow. Again, something to kind of keep in mind. But aside from that, though, no real other articles coming out other than kind of just bringing up what William mentioned over the last weekend. On the actual chart itself, still, as I've been really stating, that 50 50-day moving average is going to be that very big deal. That's at 376. And if NIO does continue its nice push higher, gets to, let's say, that 360 range, then this is where you'll see stochastic RSI relatively overbought. Nothing really wrong with that, but that just means that the first sign of weakness, you could see some kind of volatility in the negative way. But then again, pretty much 90% of the market right now is considered rather overbought. So let me know your thoughts on NIO in the comments below. Only thing as well that kind of came out early this morning that possibly might have added to NIO's suppression was comments coming from Trump associated to tariffs, because he mentioned anyone associated to anti-American kind of BRICS is going to get hit with a additional 10%. So China does essentially fall under that criteria. So the states and China just came to that deal where the states would be 30% and vice versa, it would be 10 from China. So maybe that might be 40%. We haven't really heard too much clarity, and people seem to be really kind of ignoring that statement from Trump. I don't know if they're doing that on purpose because they don't want a lot of negative volatility in the market, or maybe it's just not that big of a deal. But again, that's something that could potentially impact Chinese stocks and through that NIO. As I've always stated, NIO has been really improving. I know not the same magnitude that a lot of individuals would assume or would like, but NIO is always plagued by geopolitical issues. So who knows how things will play out in the end, but let me know your thoughts on NIO in the comments below. Have you been buying the dip? Are you selling? I did see a lot of individuals talking about NIO in the long term, at least being above $5. Do you think that is feasible, let's say by the tail end of 2025 for NIO to be at $5? And if so, are you buying call options? Because coming from a return standpoint, that would be a lot more beneficial than actual common stock. But again, you do whatever floats your boat. So let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon and give buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.